The Andy Poland Show.
We got to go after this with everything we got, figuring they're going to come with everything they got.
I'll start off by saying I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back.
The Andy Poland Show on ESPN 630 starts right now.
Miracle on Ice? No, it was not that. We're not in the height of the Cold War. There is not a Russian team that could be the best in the world. Our team was made up of NHL players, not a bunch of college kids. But the uniting feeling of what happened yesterday is somewhat similar to 1980. Not quite the same, but in a period of time where we are divided, here was something that united us for a period of time yesterday. How much longer that lasts, I don't know, but it sure feels good today to look back on yesterday and see what the U.S. Olympic hockey team did in winning the gold medal over the team that is supposed to win it. I mean, that's Canada's sport. It's like us basketball, Canada hockey. You're supposed to win. Both teams have professional players, but the United States has owned basketball. We invented basketball. We should win. Canada, the national sport is hockey. They should win, and they almost did yesterday, but they did not. And it was just wonderful theater, not just the game itself, the way it played out, and just some unbelievable saves by Connor Hellebuyck. You know, that's hockey. The little I know about the game is if you got a goalie who's standing on his head, as Hellebuyck did yesterday, and stopping 41 shots, you got a chance to win. And the chance came on 3-on-3 in overtime. There's a lot of griping coming out of Canada. Oh, yeah, you know, it's kind of a gimmicky thing, you know, playing 3-on-3. What about, you know, playing overtime until somebody wins? You know, they don't do it that way in the Olympics. The rules were the same. And we were able to, and I say we because that's the big thing about the Olympics. Whereas in the Super Bowl, there are two teams. Each team has a group of supporters. Even when you have like a monumental upset like North Carolina State beating Houston in the 1983 NCAA championship game, you still had a sizable number of people rooting for Houston in that game. If you're watching yesterday with your family, your friends, and, you know, I guess if you're Canadian, maybe you weren't rooting that way. But the majority of the country was rooting for the U.S. to win. USA, USA. And the two previous medals that we've won, we've only won gold in hockey. And we've only won them on American soil. Squaw Valley in 1980. And then we won it in upstate New York in 1980. Squaw Valley was 60, so Squaw Valley 60, and then to win it at Lake Placid as they did in 1980, and now we win it on foreign soil. Makes it even maybe even better. This was the tremendous call, as he called it all series long. Kenny Albert spectacular, calling both men's and women's hockey. And when it came time to deliver in the biggest moment, he delivered.
And it's Werenski. Now Jack Hughes puts it around the car. United States with numbers. Back across it comes. Jack Hughes wins it. The golden goal for the United States. For the first time since the 1980 miracle, the United States takes the gold. Jack Hughes beating Jordan Bennington.
Let me say this. That is the first player to have a bar mitzvah and a golden goal for the gold medal in the Olympics. That's pretty darn good. And Jack Hughes, pretty darn good in his post-game conversation with Catherine Tappan.
Jack, the first gold medal for the United States in 46 years, and you delivered it. Can you just describe the emotions of this moment right now?
This is all about our country right now. I love the USA. I love my teammates. It's unbelievable. The USA Hockey Brotherhood is so strong, and we had so much support from ex-players. I'm so proud to be American today.
This was
so proud.
This was such an incredible game to grind out. I mean, you're bleeding right through it just looking at you right now. Can you just talk about how difficult this gold medal was to win?
Unbelievable game by Hellebuyck. He was our best player tonight by a mile. Unbelievable game. unreal game by our team. That's just a ballsy, gutsy win. That's American hockey right there. That's a great Canadian team, but we're USA. We're so proud to be Americans. Tonight was all for the country.
What does this gold medal mean to USA Hockey?
It's everything. Like I said, the USA Hockey Brotherhood means so much. Look at these guys. We're such a team. We've been together for 2 weeks. We're such a team. The USA Hockey Brotherhood is so strong, and we're so proud to win for our country.
Jack, the gold medal's coming home, and you're about to watch the American flag go up to the rafters and hear the national anthem. How many times did you dream that up?
I can't even believe this. I mean, it's such an unbelievable game. USA Canada, that's such a good game. They have so many great players. We're a great team. That's exactly how we wanted to go. We wanted to go through Canada and beat them, and it could have went either way tonight, but that's an unbelievable win for the Americans.
Jack Hughes with the game winner. What he said about 2 weeks. Yeah, it's different than the other Olympic golds in that, Squaw Valley, we had a team that came together the summer before. 1980, the same thing. If you've seen the movie Miracle or old enough to remember that as I am, that's different. And these guys are NHL players, just like the Canadians. And so they've had international competition in summers in the past, but come together as a team for only a couple of weeks and grow as close as they did. And, so many storylines. We'll get to the incredible story of Johnny Gadreau and his the kids that he leaves behind. It's just, heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. But there's another element to this, and this is the closeness that they have, the brotherhood, including actual brothers. And Jack Hughes' brother Quinn Hughes was on the team as well. And at the Olympics, it's not like, traveling during an NHL season. I assume at this point, most players have their own room. The days of rooming up together, I think, are over. But at the Olympics, you sleep in the Olympic dorms. And in the case of the Hughes brothers, they were sleeping in the same room. I don't have an older brother, but two of my best friends growing up did, and one of them shared a room with his brother, and there's a closeness that comes with that. They were only 2 years apart. I don't know how far Jack and Quinn are, but I assume they're very close in age, and probably at some point shared a bedroom growing up, dreaming something like this, dreaming first maybe of getting to the NHL, which they both have done, but also to get to this point. And this was a really cool recollection yesterday from Jack Hughes about the conversation that those two had just hours before taking the ice.
It was like 2 in. We both shut it down, probably 11:30. I could hear him, these barracks, man, I can hear him rolling around in bed. And we're rolling for like 2 hours. I'm like, I think he asked me, what are you thinking about? And I'm like, this is 2 hours in. I'm like, man, I just keep replaying my OT winner. What about you? He's like, same, man. I keep like thinking about my OT winner tomorrow. And that's what you dream about, you know? When you're 6 years old, 7, I'm 24 now, I'm still dreaming that. And, this is the best moment in USA hockey in a long time. And to be a part of this group, like I said, to do it with my brother. We've had such a fun couple weeks, me and Quinn, in the Olympic Village, and we're just happy this is the way we finished it.
Yeah, it's so incredible, not just the brotherhood of the players, but the actual brotherhood of teammates like that. And then something you don't really see in hockey very much. I don't. Maybe there are games like this where players lose teeth, but Jack Hughes took one in the mouth, and in all the post-game smiling that he did, it was quite evident. But he said,
I'm lucky I'm from the best country in the world, and we got great dentists there too, so I'm lucky I'm American, and they're going to fix me right up.
Yeah, amen to that. He plays for the New Jersey Devils, so I don't think he'll have trouble finding a dentist in New Jersey. Mike Tirico grew up in Queens, not Jersey, but he is as big a star from these Olympics as any of the athletes. In the great tradition of Jim McKay and Bob Costas, he was absolutely flawless in everything that he did during this 2-week period. And to jump literally from the Super Bowl to this is remarkable. He did an Olympic show on the field at the Super Bowl 2 weeks ago, and then has the perfect words to wrap things up. But we'll get to what he said in the 10 o'clock hour to wrap up the entire Olympics. But this is getting a lot of play on social media. The 1-minute wrap-up that Tirico delivered after the U.S. hockey team delivered this stunning moment.
Because of a drought that almost lasted a half century, those teams are revered. They are held on to forever. And what happened today doesn't take away from the greatness of those teams or the meaning that those teams have in U.S. hockey. But what you saw today was the build of a generation, inspired perhaps by that team that lost in 2010 in Vancouver to the Sidney Crosby golden goal in overtime. Or the team where TJ Oshie had all those shootout goals in 2014. That's when these guys were doing what you're doing, watching on TV. And they were young, and they were living the dream. So for all the young people out there, not just the hockey, but all the Olympics you've watched, those dreams are formed now. Go chase them and go get them. Because our country loves sports, and it brings us together unlike anything else. And if you didn't know that, if you haven't been watching the last 2 weeks, you saw it in Team USA Hockey, winning the gold over their arch-rival Canada here in Milan to wrap up these 25th Olympic Winter Games.
Genius. That's not with a script. That's on the fly. I'm sure he gave it some thought. I'm sure he knew what he was going to say when he said it. But to deliver it as flawlessly as he did, with the perfect words, the perfect pitch, the perfect tone, you can't do it any better than that. And these games will be remembered for many things, including the hockey victory, including Lindsey Vonn breaking her leg the way she did, and Michaela Schifrin winning the gold medal, and the skating, and all the things that went into it. And I think we finished with the most golds we've ever had. Norway had the most in the Olympics, but really a spectacular Winter Olympics with the perfect narration from Mike Tirico. Final on this, on the hockey, is the final column that Barry Zerluga wrote for the Washington Post. And this was just another gut punch with the way the whole sports section debacle unfolded in the past month. If you remember, Barry was at the Olympics. He was on the bus traveling to, I believe it was a ski event, and he sees on his phone that the publisher of the Washington Post is announcing that they're dumping the sports section. Now, he knew that was a possibility when he went over there, probably a strong possibility, and he could have just hung out, not written anything. The hotel room, I assume, was paid for, but he decided to go out writing, and that's what makes him one of the great sports writers that we have in this country. And wherever he resurfaces, I will be following him. I'm sure he won't be away from writing for long. But I'm just going to read you a few paragraphs from what was not only his final column in the Washington Post, but the final column for a sports columnist for a paper that started 149 years ago. Washington Post, founded in 1877. Shirley Povich wrote columns for them for 75 years. Barry got 20. I'm sure he would have gone at least another 20 if the sports section were to exist. It no longer exists. And he talked about, after this was over and the medal ceremony, which I watched. I don't know whether you watched this or not, but this was just excruciating for the Canadians. Now, you remember in 1980, the format was a little bit different. So you had the medal ceremony for the three teams, the gold, silver, and bronze, and they were all there. So the famous scene where Michael Ruzioni, the captain of the team, is to go up and accept the gold medal and invites all of his teammates to come up and join him on a very small podium. They were already in sweatsuits. The game had long been over. In this case, because of the way the format was, they made the two teams stand out there, including the Canadians, watching them get their silver medal. Oh, my God. I mean, that is not the medal that they wanted in any way. That was not the medal that they were supposed to get, and that's the medal that they carried home to Canada in shame. And maybe shame is too strong of a word, but that is not supposed to happen. And on top of that, they got these like stuffed animals at the end for whatever reason. I mean, it was just really tough to watch, and Barry captures it in the column that he wrote for yesterday. He said, Team Canada sat still as stone, huddled on the bench as if bracing from an unrelenting chill. This was a horror movie for those 22 men, not to mention the people in the great expanse from Yukon to Newfoundland. In the stillness was pain. Hockey is the Canadian sport. It's not an overstatement to say for some, it's an identity. Toss in the indignities and tariffs and ridiculous threats of annexation from the United States, and Sunday's gold medal game, the thriller that closed the Milan Cortina Olympics, carried another level of meaning. And he goes on to write about the U.S. team, and this is a great quote from the coach, Mike Sullivan. He said, "This team was built with personality in mind. We were loaded with personality up and down our lineup. There's whiskey drinkers and milk drinkers. We've got a lot of whiskey drinkers on this team." In fact, that reminded me of one of Sonny Jurgensen's greatest quotes when he talked about Otto Graham, and he said something to the effect like, "Otto Graham likes milkshakes and I like whiskey." I'm paraphrasing, but that kind of encapsulated what this team was all about. And the final paragraph from the final sports column of the Washington Post, which again was founded in 1877, 149 years ago. He writes, "What played out Sunday to close these Olympics was heavy and special in the best way possible. It will stoke starkly different emotions in those who brandish the maple leaf than those who fly the stars and stripes. But we all got to witness it, didn't we? How lucky, how damn lucky are we to say that?" And I would just add my own 2 cents there. How damn lucky was I to read the Washington Post for more than the last 60 years myself, and for people who got to read sports columns from Shirley Povich dating back to the 1920s, how damn lucky were we? Wow. That is the way to go out, and Barry goes out in a blaze of glory. The sports section, unfortunately, goes out in shame, but things regroup, things change. Everything changes in the world, including the way we consume information. And hopefully I'll be consuming Barry Zerluga on another platform very soon. Coming up, we will get to Bill Mazeroski, who passed away over the weekend. And he is known for a home run. But that is really not what his career was about. I mean, that you talk about, the famous line that Shirley, I think it was Shirley Povich that wrote this, about Don Larson and the perfect game in the 1956 World Series. The imperfect man pitched a perfect game. Bill Mazeroski, not known for his hitting, hit one of the most famous home runs in baseball history. We'll get to that and more as we continue. It's the Andy Pollin Show, ESPN 630.
The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
Bill Mazeroski died over the weekend at the age of 89. He was the second baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates for 17 years. And to tell you what a different era this was, came up in 1956. He played with the team through 1972, but the last 4 years he was with the Pirates. Now, he'd been an 8-time All-Star. The last 4 years, he was a part-time player. He didn't play in that many games, topped only 100 games once during that period, and I think that's because they had an injury. Rennie Stennett, I believe Sennett was the second baseman, and he wound up playing a lot of games. But other than that, he was a backup his last 4 years, and he is a figure in baseball history that is known for one particular moment. Unlike the perfect game that was thrown by Don Larson, 1956, that was an anomaly for his career. I mean, he was a journeyman pitcher who happened to have his moment. Mazeroski was a star player. He was a perennial all-star for the Pirates. He led the league in games played a number of years. He was just a fixture at second base for the Pirates, but in an incredible game, just an absolutely unbelievable Game 7 of the 1960 World Series against the New York Yankees, who looked poised to win another championship. The 3 games that the Yankees won were by scores of 16-3, 10-0, and 12-0. They outscored the Pirates in their 3 wins in that World Series, 38-3. 38 those are softball scores. But the Pirates won their 3 games, 6-4, 3-2, and 5-2. So it gets to Game 7, and the Pirates go up 4-0. Yankees, as they do, the Bronx Bombers, 1961, they set a record for most home runs. So they were a good, really good offensive team, and they go up 7-4, heading to the bottom of the 8th. Then there's a bad hop on a ground ball that hits Tony Kubek in the throat. So he has to leave the game. Pittsburgh scores 5 runs to go up 9-7, only to see the Yankees score 2 in the 9th to tie the game. And then it gets to the bottom of the ninth inning. Now, Ralph Terry is on the mound for the New York Yankees. And Bill Mazeroski's at the plate. Mazeroski was a .260 lifetime hitter. Never hit 300. Never hit 20 home runs in a season. Never drove in as many as 85. He was a defensive star, one of the best defensive second basemen in the history of baseball. But as a threat in that situation, to hit the game-winning home run wasn't supposed to happen. Making the call for NBC, this was NBC Radio at the time, was Chuck Thompson, who was the Orioles announcer. He was the announcer for decades and later did television with Brooks Robinson. I remember games on Channel 20 with Chuck Thompson. But for decades and decades, he was the Orioles announcer, Hall of Fame announcer. And that's why he got the assignment for the World Series. And in what should have been his shining moment as a baseball play-by-play announcer, he botched it. And if you listen to this, botched it twice. This was the Chuck Thompson call of the famous home runs. To this day, it is the only walk-off home run in Game 7 of the World Series. Joe Carter did it in Game 6 in 1993 for the Blue Jays. This was Game 7 with Chuck Thompson at the microphone and Bill Mazeroski at the plate.
Art Ditmar throws. Here's a swing and a high fly ball going deep to left. Yes, they do it. Back to the wall goes Berra. It is home run. The Pirates win. Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series for the Pittsburgh Pirates by a score of 10-0. Once again, that final score, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the 1960 World Champions, defeat the New York Yankees. The Pirates 10 and the Yankees 9.
So Thompson says Art Ditmar throws the pitch. It was not. It was Bill Terry. And then he initially says they win 10-0. And you hear him kind of hiccup there. And he says, 10-9. So not his most shining moment. And about 20 years later, Budweiser did a commercial with that call, with Art Ditmar giving up the game-winning home run. Well, sure enough, the family of Art Ditmar, he had passed away at that point, they had sued for $500,000, claiming the commercial held him up to undeserved ridicule, humiliation, and contempt. A U.S. district judge threw out the case. But that was another fallout from that. Here's something else about this home run. Bob Prince, who was the Pirates announcer and doubling as the TV post-game host, is in the clubhouse interviewing players who were celebrating wildly. He's got no producer. So nowadays, they set it up. They bring a player over, set up by the producer, and he knows whoever's doing the post-game interviewing knows that a parade of players are going to be brought to him. Well, Prince is trying to just grab people. So the entire post-game interview for Bill Mazeroski for this historic home run lasts 18 seconds with Bob Prince.
There's Bill Mazeroski, struck the game-winning blow. Hey, wasn't that something, Billy?
Oh, I can't even talk. I'm so tired.
What'd you do? You didn't have to run very far, did you, boy? What was the pitch you hit, Bill?
It was a high fastball.
A high fastball. That did it, and the Pirates are the world's champions for the first time since 25.
And that's it. That is it for Bill Mazeroski. Couple of questions. What'd you hit, Billy? How fast you run, boy? That was it. And goodbye. Goodbye, Bill Mazeroski. Many, many years later, Mazeroski, this was probably 10 years ago, in his 70s at that point, reflecting on what happened in 1960.
I'm walking to the plate, and all I'm thinking of is I want to get a base hit to get this inning started off. I want to hit the ball hard somewhere. So the first pitch comes in high, ball one. And then the catcher walks out and tells the pitchers, hey, he's a high ball hitter. Get it down, get it down. I can hear him saying that. He's just standing out in front of home plate. And so he got it down a little bit, and I hit it hard. Now, I know I hit it hard, and I know Yogi Berra's playing left field, and I know he's not going to catch it because I hit it too good. Now, I don't know it's out. I don't know it's a home run. But I know I'm going to end up on third if he misplays that ball off the wall. And so I'm busting my tail and getting around there. And by the time I hit second base, I look down the line, and the umpire is giving it this and fans went crazy. And from second base, I didn't touch the ground all the way in.
My favorite thing from that photo of Mazeroski with his helmet raised over his head and running around the bases is the clock in center field. And it says 3:35. Means that a game that was 10-9 with multiple pitching changes, with the winning team winning in the bottom of the ninth inning, lasted 2 hours and 35 minutes without a pitch clock. Amazing. Mazeroski, different era of the world. Sam Huff had a similar upbringing. His father was a coal miner in West Virginia, and they raised him in a house without electricity or indoor plumbing. He signed with the Pirates at the age of 17, made his minor league debut in 1954, was on the major league roster in 1956, and in 57 became their starting second baseman for 12 years, remained with the team as a part-time player through 72, and in 71 collected his 2000th hit, and that October was a part of the winning World Series against the Baltimore Orioles. So the streak that they broke when they won the World Series in 1960, the last one they had won was back in 1925. And 1925 was when they beat the Washington Senators. Washington Senators had beaten the New York Giants for the World Series championship in 24. 25, they faced the Pirates, and the Pirates beat them. There was not another World Series championship till 60, not another one till 71, and then they beat the Orioles again in 1979. Just, amazing history with that. And there's one great footnote to this, and this goes back to 1967. Mazeroski at that point is the regular second baseman for the Pirates, and they're filming the movie, The Odd Couple, not the television show, but the movie that came out in 1968 with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. And this was in June of 1967. They're filming this at Shea Stadium. And this is a great scene where Oscar Madison, played by Walter Matthau, is in the press box, and he's sitting next to Haywood Hale Broun. Now, Haywood Hale Broun was a sportscaster. In this particular role, he was a sports writer. And he's sitting next to Oscar Madison, who writes for some fictional New York newspaper, and he's going to write a story about this game. And the phone rings, and it's Haywood Hale Broun who answers the phone, and it's Felix Unger on the other end, played by Jack Lemmon, with one of the great scenes in that movie. And I'll tell you why it was Bill Mazeroski that they used for this, rather than the star of the Pirates at the time, Roberto Clemente.
The batter, number 9, Bill Mazeroski, second base.
Well, that's the ball game. Not over yet. Bases loaded, Mazeroski up, ninth inning. Do you expect the Mets to hold a one-run lead?
What's the matter? You never heard of a triple play?
Hello. Phone to you, Madison.
I'll call him back.
Says it's an emergency.
Yeah? Oscar? Just called to tell you don't eat any frankfurters at the ball game today. I decided to make franks and beans for dinner tonight. Oscar? Hey, Oscar.
Nowadays, of course, you could just text them. So don't eat any frankfurters at the game. I'm making franks and beans. But later, Oscar comes home and he says, "You made me miss a triple play! A triple play!" Now, the reason that Roberto Clemente, and that was the player that they wanted, they actually filmed this before the start of a Pirates-Mets game. The reason that they don't have Clemente is he was a proud, proud man. And he said, my fans could not have me hit into a triple play, and he turned it down. Now, there was also the money, and Mazeroski did that scene for $100. That was the honorarium from whoever produced the movie. they gave him $100 to hit into the triple play in that scene in the movie. So there's that, and there's history on that. But for a guy who was a defensive player, hit 260 for his career, never hit 300, never hit 20 home runs in a season, never drove in as many as 85 runs. He is so well regarded for his defense that finally in 2001 he got into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And that's a name that will always stand out in baseball history for that one particular moment. But what an interesting life that he led, passing away at the age of 89. Last night in Los Angeles, they honored Pat Riley. And Pat Riley became the first coach of the Lakers, and probably the only really deserving one, though they did win a championship with Bill Sharman. He has a statue outside. It used to be called, it was the Staples Center. I don't know what it's called now, but there are quite a few statues out there, including Elgin Baylor, Kobe Bryant, Chick Hearn, Shaquille O'Neal, Jerry West, Magic Johnson, who actually hosted the ceremony, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and now Pat Riley, dressed in an Armani suit with a crocodile belt. And when he was introduced to the crowd at halftime of the Celtics game last night, fittingly the Celtics, Pat Riley addressed the crowd.
From 1970 through 1980, I had the opportunity to meet, to be with, to play with, to coach, to broadcast, to be a traveling secretary, and to be a head coach of this team. And it's the greatest honor that I've ever had. I want to thank Dr. Buss for saying yes to coaching, Jerry West for saying yes to coaching, Chick Hearn for saying yes to broadcasting, to Jeannie Buss, love her to death, for saying yes to the statue out here now on the Plaza of the Stars. I can't believe I'm being there. I cannot believe it. I want to thank all these men. I really do. They were part of the whole trip. In the 1980s, Showtime Lakers. I know a lot of you are the grandkids or great-grandkids of the families that came to the game, back at the Forum. And all of you, Laker Nation, that have supported the team back then and support the team today. I love you forever and for always. You've been great in this city for Chris and I and my family, and I'll never, ever forget you. As far as the statue goes, I want to thank Omri Armani and Sean Bell for creating that from Omri Armani, studio. I want to thank them for creating an image that I think was really Showtime. That guy right there, as much as he looks like he might be dashing, debonair, and all those things, was a very desperate man. And when I threw my hand in the air, Cap, and said fist up, it was because we needed you to bail us out, Cap. I pray. To Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the best. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, LA. I appreciate it. I love you. You take care.
Pat Riley in that suit, 8-foot-tall statue, 510 pounds. He said actually about the way he dressed, and boy, did he look good in that Armani suit back in the day. He said about today's dress code for coaches, he said, I wish they went back to coats and ties. I think an audience wants to see somebody on the sidelines who looks like a leader, dresses like a leader, and acts like a leader. But once we had the pandemic in 2020, this kind of stuck around, the new dress code. He said 1970 to 1980. I think he meant 1970 to 1990. And his ascension to becoming the legendary coach of the Lakers and later the Knicks and the Heat was almost an accident. He had transitioned from player. He had a knee injury. I think he finished up with the Phoenix Suns, and so he didn't really know what he was going to do next. And he got a job with Chick Hearn doing the color for the radio broadcasts. And then early in the 1979-80 season, Jack McKinney, the coach, was riding his bicycle and not wearing a helmet, fell off, suffered a head injury, and they elevated Paul Westhead, his assistant. In those days, he only had one assistant, and he was elevated to head coach. Riley was called from the radio booth, and he didn't really want to go. And he asked Chick Hearn, look, if this washes out, if they don't like me as a coach, can I come back? And Chick Hearn said yes. And so finally Riley says, okay. He goes as an assistant to Westhead. They win the championship in 80, but then in the 81-82 season, early on, Magic Johnson doesn't like the way they're playing, and he lets it be known he wants out of there. So it's either Magic or Westhead. No choice there. Westhead's out. They elevate Riley to head coach, and the rest is history. Won 4 championships in the 80s and did not win Coach of the Year until the 89-90 season. And that year they went out in the second round to Phoenix, and that was it for Riley. He left, went off to the Knicks and the Heat. So that was the only year that he won Coach of the Year with the Lakers, was the 89-90 season, and they did not even come close to winning the NBA championship that year. So that was a very interesting part of the whole story. And as far as the look, I would say, in my opinion, the quintessential movie of the 80s is Wall Street. And if you remember Michael Douglas, he was also wearing, well, the suits of the time, the multicolored shirts and all that. But he said the slick back hair was a direct result of being with Pat Riley. And he said, I was with Pat. We went to Miami. We were driving in his red Mercury, a convertible with the top down. So this is when he's still coaching the Lakers, but for whatever reason, they're in Miami at that time. And he said, I was sitting in the back seat. I was looking at Pat driving, and I said, the hair's not moving. This is a convertible. So I said, that's the way I wanted it to go for Gordon Gekko. And he did. And the base of the statue, the 8-foot-tall statue, has this inscription at the bottom: there will come a time when you are challenged, and when that time comes, you must plant your feet. You must stand firm. You must make a point about who you are, what you do, and where you're from. And when that time comes, you do it. And Pat Riley certainly did it. 24 years as a head coach. He won his 5th championship as coach of the Miami Heat prior to turning things over to the LeBron team. That did win 2 championships, but still at it, still an executive with the Heat, and getting his due from the Lakers, a team that he left. And look at this, he left the team 36 years ago. Wow, it's been a long time since he coached the Lakers. But I think in your mind's eye, when you think of Pat Riley, you think of him in that Armani suit on the sidelines coaching the Showtime Lakers, and that's what the statue depicts. Coming up, literally, not a dry eye in the house or those watching on television. Part of the post-game ceremony for the U.S. Olympic team in winning the gold medal yesterday. It's the Andy Pollin Show, ESPN 630.
The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
One of the many great sidebar stories from the U.S. Olympic hockey team winning the gold medal yesterday was the Johnny Gadreau story. Johnny Gadreau may very well have been a part of the Olympic team. He was killed by a drunk driver while he was riding bicycles with his brother in August of 2024, so about a year and a half ago. They were in I believe it was New Jersey, for their sister's wedding. It was a wedding weekend, and they were just getting in a workout, an off-season workout for fun, riding their bikes, and they were both killed by a drunk driver. And he left behind 2 very, very young children. And, this hits all of us. It may hit me a little bit harder because the kids are approximately the ages of my grandchildren. And they were both there yesterday. And they were brought there just a couple of days earlier by their mother, Meredith Gadreau, who's the mom of the two kids. Same thing as my grandchildren, girl first, boy second. And she was brought there just a couple of days before yesterday's game. When they realized that they were going to get to the gold medal game, they made arrangements for her to come with the 2 kids. And before the game yesterday, she talked to a reporter about the meaning of that and how emotional it was to show up with the kids so that they could see what their dad was once a part of.
It's fun to be a part of this. We wished we were a part of it. So when we got the call to come out, it felt, like maybe he did make the team. So it's fun here to represent him and support everyone that's honoring him as well.
When did you get the call, and how did that whole process come to be?
It was just on 2 days ago. So it's just a quick decision. We thought, you can't pass something like this up, once in a lifetime opportunity for the kids. So that was the main reason that drove me out here. I feel like I have 2 roles in life now: is honor John, my husband, and make sure these kids know how special their dad is and give them some special opportunities. So it's nice. It kind of sometimes still feels like John is still giving us a lot of special things to do and special ways to support him.
I know John got to wear the Team USA sweater a bunch of times at international events and stuff. Is there a memory that stands out to you, him and Team USA?
I went to Worlds with him in Prague in the Strava, so it was really fun for me to see him do that because he had been doing it long before I'd met him. So he took a lot of pride in putting that jersey on. That was a big one because the kids were watching from home, so that was my favorite one. I just know how much it meant to him, and I know he worked really hard to be part of this a couple summers ago. So, I always really admired that because even really far out in advance, he was thinking about it.
And I know the guys are trying to make him a part of it. His jersey is hanging in the locker room. What does that mean to you and the kids? And
we saw it on TV, so I told Noah these are Daddy's friends, and we saw his picture, and number 13 she knows, so she knows we're at a special game. And then I said if Daddy was here, he'd probably be here too. So, it's really nice that they continue to keep him a part of it. It means the world to us as a family. It's heavy being here, but it's one of those things where you can't not come out, as hard as it is sometimes, but I really thank all of them for bringing his jersey, hanging it up, talking about him. That's all I can ask for right now.
That is Meredith Gadreau, the widow of Johnny Gadreau, killed by a drunk driver on a bicycle a year and a half ago, would have been perhaps a part of the Olympic team. And after the game was over, the jersey that they had kept in the locker room, the number 13 for Gadreau, and they kept it the whole way along the 2-week Olympic run, they brought it out on the ice, and they paraded it around the ice with the rest of the players after they won. And then after the medal ceremony, where they gathered for the team photo where some of them are sitting, they brought out the 2 kids. Now, Noah is the girl. She's older. And then the son, Johnny Jr., was actually celebrating his 2nd birthday yesterday. And he sat on the laps of one of the players and was described, as always, brilliantly by Mike Tirico.
You talk about sports and you talk about the togetherness of a team. If you've ever been a part of a team, you know what it means. And when we say lifetime bond, it means lifetime bond. Oh, and see that smile? Zach Werenski holding Johnny's daughter.
Yeah, Zach Rowensky made sure to mention that in the post-game interview.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, his family here tonight, his kids on the ice, the jersey on the ice. This is something he would have been at. So we're thinking of him. We played for him, and we tried to make him proud, and I think we did just that. So it was an unbelievable moment having his kids on the ice for the picture, and that one was for him.
Yeah, that was incredible. Just I mean, and I thought of how I was sitting on my couch in San Antonio in 1980 after they had beaten Finland for the gold medal. In history, it gets mentioned that it was the win over the Soviets. That was in the Friday game. That game was not broadcast live. That game was tape delayed. And there was no assurance with the technology in those days there wouldn't be something that would go wrong with the tape. And we might not have even seen it on replay on Friday night. And the flow of information was different, so some people didn't necessarily know what had happened when the game was broadcast on tape delay on Friday night. They didn't want to knock out the soap operas on Friday afternoon on ABC at the time. And Al Michaels' incredible call, people saw it, and I would say 35, 40%, maybe more of the audience knew that they had won the game and knew what had happened from radio reports. And when the radio reports came out that they had won in the afternoon, people who were driving home stopped their cars and flashed their lights on the Beltway and things like that. But we didn't know. And then to see the Olympic game live, the gold medal game against Finland, that was really meaningful. So thinking about it, and there's another documentary that's out on Netflix, if you haven't seen it, about the 1980 team. The three of them are gone, plus the coach, Herb Brooks, but they are sitting on the bench in Lake Placid where they won the gold medal in 1980 and recalling their lives, all that's happened. It was done a year ago, so the 45 years since the gold medal game. And when I think of the two kids and the way they were celebrated and the way that their dad's jersey was paraded around the ice, it's a lot of what I was feeling watching Jim Craig, the goalie for the U.S., with the American flag draped around him and looking up in the stands saying, "Where's my father?" Because that was a big part of the story of that team. And this will go down as one of the great stories of this team, that how they celebrated Johnny Gadreau and how they made his family feel a part of this gold medal. And you see Jim Craig looking up in the stands, "Where's my father? Where's my father?" And that's a big part of it because his mother had died of cancer, and she encouraged him to continue to pursue his dream of leading the U.S. to victory in the Olympics. And very much in the same way that Connor Hellebuck was a huge star for the U.S. yesterday, the same thing for Craig. And in this documentary, you get more information about this. And he says one of the most poignant things I've ever heard. He said, when someone dies, they don't take their courage with them. They pass it on to someone else who has earned it. And he felt that he had earned his mother's courage and showed it in winning the Olympics in 1980 and winning the gold medal and, being celebrated for life. And I don't know if Jack Hughes will be in the same vein as Mike Eruzione, who has been able to live off the fame of that and is a touchstone for especially people of my generation who are old enough to remember what he did. But also he and his brother are a great story, and it only adds to the drama of it with the picture of him with his teeth knocked out. Like he paid that price to win that Olympic gold medal for him. And these are millionaires. These are the best of the best American players from the National Hockey League. They're not a bunch of scrappy lunch pail guys in 1980, but the unifying feeling of winning the gold medal for the U.S. plus the side stories that go along with it, like the Gadreau, make it so much a great thing for us in a period of time where they hit it right spot. Right, we're in that lull between the end of the Super Bowl and maybe baseball season, NBA playoffs. It comes at a perfect time, and what a perfect ending to these Olympics. All right, coming up, Mike Tirico's bow on these Olympics, so well done yesterday. We'll get to that. Plus, we'll segue into a little bit of combine talk as that gets underway this week. It's the Andy Pollin Show, ESPN 630. It is known in some circles as the Underwear Olympics. At some point, the NFL realized, wait a minute, we put these guys on TV running 40-yard dashes and doing bench presses, and we slapped the NFL logo on it. People are going to watch. So that's what's going to happen this week in Indianapolis. Once again, the top prospects for the NFL draft get measured, they get weighed, they get timed, they get strength tested. And out of all that, somehow, some way, by the time we get to April 23rd, teams will have made up their mind which way they're going to go in the NFL draft, and we will have 3 days of fun and festivities. I think it's in Pittsburgh this year, the NFL draft, and that's the way it works every year. At some point, some of these guys got wise to how it all works, and he's not a memorable name in terms of his NFL career, but in combine circles, he's a legend. Mike Mamula. Mike Mamula was a linebacker at Boston College, maybe a second or third round pick, who worked hard on all the drills that they do at the combine, got himself in combine shape, knocked it out of the park with some of his numbers. Philadelphia Eagles took him in the first round, and he turned out to be just kind of a meh player. So there's all that. We'll get to that. But I want to put a bow on the Olympics, just a bang to go out with, the way that the U.S. won the gold medal with the overtime goal from Jack Hughes, who becomes the first player to have both a bar mitzvah and a golden goal in the Olympics. He did that, and he will always be remembered for that. Played alongside his brother and gave us a great thrill yesterday morning when we kind of need it. It wasn't 1980, but it was also a unifying and feel-good moment for the United States. And Mike Tirico comes out of this as big a star as any of the athletes. He hosted the Olympics for 2 weeks brilliantly, as he does most things. And, I've been watching Olympics, I was thinking about this, since 1972. I don't remember the 72 Winter Games that well. I certainly remember the Summer Games. That was incredibly tragic with the 9 Israeli athletes being murdered. And there's a terrific movie, if you haven't seen it. It came out maybe a year and a half ago, called September 5th. And it goes over mostly the television coverage of this. It's the way that it was hosted so well by Jim McKay, with the leadership of Roone Arledge, the brilliant producer for ABC, who changed the face of sports television completely. He was the one that came up with the idea for Up Close and Personal for these athletes. He said, in order for us to care about the athletes, we've got to know them. So he did profiles of them at a time when this wasn't being done. It's done all the time now, but it wasn't then, and that helped to make that big. So I've been watching the Olympics for 54 years. And there have been some memorable games, of course. There's the memorable games that we skipped in 1980, the boycott year that Jimmy Carter, to his grave, was reviled for by many and celebrated for. But that is all part of the picture. But in terms of hosts, there have been 3 in history, in my mind, that have truly stood out. One was Jim McKay, one was Bob Costas, and the other now is Mike Tirico, who brilliantly wrapped things up. This was scripted, but there had to be some last-minute additions to this because this was, shortly after the U.S. won the gold medal in hockey. We didn't know which, way that was going to go. But when it came time to put the bow on the Olympics, he did it as well as Jim McKay or Bob Costas ever did it.
So the Olympics, the growing games, took a cue from the spirit of the athletes. Try something daring and different, something never done before. The first Olympics with dual host cities spread out all across northern Italy. And despite being separated by hundreds of miles and mountains, it worked. The games delivered and brought our fragmented, chaotic world a few weeks of diversionary joy. The Olympics once again pulled us together and pulled us in. Why sports? Why do we get emotionally entangled in caring for people most of us have never met? It's watching the human spirit thrive. Consider the Winter Games. Every sport played out on snow or ice, the stuff most of us avoid in winter. Instead, this group of determined, daring athletes attach their bodies to anything that will make them go faster. And they take us along for the ride, no matter how noisy. We get attached because they are chasing their dreams in front of us, defying logic for one last sip of greatness, with a surgically repaired body, knowing full well that pain could sting again. We come for the dominance to marvel at a man who won more gold medals here than almost every country that came to these games. It's where the best in the world ask to be back on this stage and put aside their pro franchises for their national flag and played with a passion that touched us all. So many of these athletes grind in anonymity. Sports few play on global circuits, many don't follow. But when they come together inside of the Olympic rings, they captivate us, awe us, and take our breath away. Yet while we watch them by the millions, many of them feel alone. An Olympic spotlight really does bring a different heat. And no 2 words were paired together more over the last 2.5 weeks than Olympic pressure. No 2 athletes have the same relationship with it. The best figure skater in the world said seeing those Olympic rings made the moment different, tougher. The truth is, You can be the best in the world for 4 years, over 1,400 days. But your career is off defined by what happens that one day. That's why the Olympics draw us in. So too does the image of that flag, draped across the shoulders of medal winners, led by America's newest golden group, ready to wear the lifelong title of Olympic champion. They help leave us fueled by what is possible, making the unlikely unforgettable. Sport, it's where you can retire at 16 and be a champion at 20. Where you can be a 41-year-old mom and give your kids a golden gift for life. It's where that kid who started training on his backyard pond a decade later stole the show. It's being taken on that long journey from the bunny hill to the top of an Olympic podium to the depths and back up the mountain again. And along the way, with greatness and grace, showing the next generation how to navigate any turn down the hill.
I would actually say for any kids out there dreaming about this, you won a gold medal, but you also want to be happy with yourself too. You can have both, and I think the future is really, really bright for sport.
Bright because kids like the Hughes brothers this week did the best thing imaginable. They didn't just live the dream, they paid it forward to the next generation of dreamers. Today, it was them. Someday, it can be you. And now, the biggest opportunity in generations for that future of American Olympians. The next time the world gathers in the name of sport, it's our home games. The Olympics returning to U.S. soil for the first time in 26 years. LA 28 will be our first summer games in 32 years. It will be our chance to show the world why sports mean so much in America and how they're one of the few things that can still, truly, pull us together. This TV endeavor is pulled together by nearly 3,000 dedicated people who mean so much to all of us, our NBC teammates across Italy and back in the States, who spent most of this month bringing the games home to you. All of us are appreciative of our families for letting us chase our Olympic dreams. Now, on behalf of our NBC Olympic family, I'm Mike Tirico, saying ciao from Milan, and thanks for watching the 25th Olympic Winter Games.
Cannot do it better than that. That was just tremendous by Mike Tirico. A couple of quick postscripts on this. As they say, there's nothing better than winning in the Olympics, and maybe there's second place, nothing better than losing. I mean, that's really what this is all about. It's the competition of that. And you can talk about, these guys and how wealthy they are and how well they do in their professional careers and how maybe the Olympic ideal has changed from the days that it was amateur, but, really was it ever all that amateur? Maybe it was, but, it was different then. That you competed and won Olympics and you didn't have the money to keep going. You had to get on with your life after that. Now that we have professionals, you might say that it's lost something. But on the other hand, you can hear it in their voices as to how much this means to them to compete for their country. And Connor Hellebuyck, who was the MVP of the NHL last year, came up in a situation here where he's playing for his country. And when he talked about winning and what it meant, you could tell just how meaningful it was for him to win the gold medal.
Connor, congratulations. The gold medal is coming home, and they have a lot of reason to thank you as well. 41 saves in this game. Can you just describe what it feels like to put this medal on your jersey and to win gold?
It's a dream come true. I love this group. We've had so much fun over here. We've grinded, we've battled. This is some of the best and most fun hockey I've ever played.
Watching you when the national anthem was being played, it was probably the biggest smile I've ever seen on your face. What was going through your mind when you saw the American flag raised to the rafters?
So much. It still hasn't truthfully sunk in. So, I'm looking forward to celebrating in the next 24 hours. And, who knows how long it's going to last. This is surreal. It's around my neck, and it's a dream come true.
Connor, you have a number of Vezinas. You're the reigning NHL MVP, yet there are still critics out there that you can't win the big game. What does this send a message to them about?
yeah, let them keep writing those articles, and I'll just keep performing. That's it. That's all I can do.
Yeah, that was a tremendous performance by him yesterday. And then finally, the capper on the Olympics is as great a joy it was for the U.S., it was just unbelievable disappointment for Canada. And Sidney Crosby, because of a back injury, did not play in the last 2 games for his team, his country. And you could hear the pain in his voice. It's, athletes are supposed to post. If you can walk, you could play. And I'm sure if Sidney Crosby could have played, he would have played. But he couldn't go. And you can hear the frustration as he talked about not being out there for his teammates yesterday.
It's a lot easier playing than watching, but I think everyone should be proud the way the team performed. I thought that obviously we did everything but score. We in every facet we were so good today. I thought we deserved better, and unfortunately, didn't come away with the win.
How close did it come to you playing here in this gold medal game?
That was pretty close. Ultimately I wasn't able to go out there and do what I needed to do in order to help the team. So at that point, you got to make a decision that's best for the group. And not an easy one, but that's hockey.
So how did you find ways to at least try to be impactful if you're not on the ice here today?
It's hard. It's hard. I think you just try to be around and be a positive influence. I thought that the way we played all tournament, even the games leading up, I thought we were really good, and we were tested. In some of those games, it's not easy to get to this point, and we just found ways. And I thought one of our best games was probably today. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out for us. But like I said, just really proud of the group and the way we competed and the way we played.
Pretty classy. One of the best games they played was today, and they lost. That was something from Sidney Crosby. Finally on this, I read these 2 paragraphs in the last hour. I think it's a good way to put a exclamation point on these Olympics. It is the last sports column from the Washington Post, a newspaper that started in 1877. The last column written by Barry Svrluga, who covered the championship game, the gold medal game, yesterday in Milan. And these 2 paragraphs sum it up in a way that a great writer like Barry writes, and also a great way to go out with a sports section, which sadly has gone away after all these years. He wrote, Team Canada sat still as stone, huddled on the bench as if bracing from an unrelenting chill. This was a horror movie for those 22 men, not to mention the people in the great expanse from Yukon to Newfoundland. In the stillness was pain. Hockey is the Canadian sport. It is not an overstatement to say for some it's an identity. Toss in the indignities of tariffs and ridiculous threats of annexation from the United States, and Sunday's gold medal game, the thriller that closed the Milan-Cortina Olympics, carried another level of meaning. And his final paragraph is, what played out Sunday to close those Olympics was heavy and special in the best way possible. It will stoke starkly different emotions in those who brandish the maple leafs and those who fly the stars and stripes. But we all got to witness it, didn't we? How lucky, how damn lucky are we to say that? Anyway, that's going to do it for me as we put the Olympics in the rearview mirror. The roads are being clear, so no problems for tomorrow. Kids are back in school, you hope, right? And I will see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.